Please put your hands together and welcome one of the best in the business, Mr. Geoff Luckett. Oops, sorry.
Hiya, I'm gladly been asked to give this demonstration. They wanted something that was about speed jumping, really. So what I'm going to do is start with the first horse, which is an 8-year-old mare that actually is Claire's horse that's only been on the yard a month. And mainly do a little bit of flat work to start off with, because to go quick in the course, you know, horses need to practice first. And what they need to do a lot is move away from anything that you move, because all the little movements is what gives you a little bit of room to the fence to make a distance or not to make a distance. So a lot of the work is actually done more on the flat than actually jumping the fences. Now with this mare, doesn't trot. She's quite a quiet mare, really. She's a little bit long, I think, and a natural way is she'd sooner go like that. A little bit lazy. My job, when I work her, is to get her to pull together. Now, I've cheated a bit because I've been outside for 10 minutes, but normally that would take a little bit longer. And I want to push her into the bridle, but I also want to hold her up a little bit, because when I'm jumping, and jumping quite quick, that's what I want, is I want her to cover the ground, but be up in my hands so she still keeps a jump. The other thing is not to rush on to cantering too quick, because very often with a canter, with a jumping horse, it's quite a big canter, and it's quite hard to control. So unless you won and got the horse doing what you want, at the trot and at the walk. We don't have flowers in Banbury. It's not going to work when I go to the canter. She's actually quite good today. So now she's trotting quite well. I might want to extend that trot a little bit. But then I want to shorten a little bit. See, there's a little bit of a snatch there, which when I go to the canter will probably be a little bit more. But just because I'm trotting doesn't mean I can't work her quite hard. Also, I want her to go off my legs. So if I move her across, she should move across. If I move her back, she should go back the other way. A little bit snatchy there. Now, if I want to go into the corner, I want her to go right into the corner like that. And all those movements is what helps you when you're jumping against the clock. You're not bored already, are you? See, for me, that's very good. So because it's good, I'd probably give her a minute, and then I'd go on to the canter, which is obviously everything's going to work faster, and I want the reactions quicker. Let's say this mare has quite a nice canter, tends to try and be a little bit lazy. Like if I want to sit here and do nothing, she's as happy as Larry. But that's not what I'm going to do when I jump a set of fences. So what I'll do is put a bit more leg on, hold her together. See, she objects a little bit, but what I want is power in the canter. And then I might want to lengthen a little bit. And then I might want to shorten a little bit. Again, both leg and hand all the time. Because when I set off to a fence, probably most of the time I haven't got a stride, to be honest. But see, that might be the stride, but I might change my mind, and then I might want to go again. Now, if this doesn't do everything right, it's Claire's fault, because it's her horse. See, what they need to think is everything's normal. Very often, you'll see horses worked in the collector ring, and they're on this dead canter like this, with their head swinging. I never really get that canter, because you're not going to jump fences at that canter. So what I want is a bit of action in the canter like that. And also, the other thing, I don't want to work too hard either. So what happens is everything needs to work. It's just like driving a car. If I kick, it's the throttle that wants to go forward. If I hold, it's the brakes. I mean, imagine getting to a junction with a car and pushing the throttle to go out, and it decided not to go because you pushed the throttle 10 times before. And so if you're niggling and niggling and niggling all the time, when you actually kick to jump a fence or lengthen to get a stride, nothing happens. So what they should do is canter with a kick, like that, and then keep the canter without too much work. Yes, I can press her and pull her together and make a bit more power, but still, I should be able to talk, I should be able to take my hands off the reins, and she should keep a canter. It's all going swimmingly today. You wait until I get the next one out. Right, what I'm going to do now is start over a little cross pole with a canter pole. And I'm a big believer of the canter pole because it gives the horse something to look for and it trains it to help you out. Not all classes and horses set themselves up to jump the fence, but you're not always that accurate, you know, especially when you ride quick. You can't guarantee you're going to have the perfect stride. So what you need is a little bit of help from the horse. Horses rely on confidence. And what happens with the canter pole is she knows that's her place to take off. So on the way round, she starts to look for that place. And then when you jump in fences, like 10 fences in a ring, she starts to look at the fence because she's used to training for that canter pole. Okay, the first time's going to be a bit of a shock to her, maybe. Right, not too bad, but for me, one little problem she has, this mare, is as she come off the corner there, she's a little bit on the bridle. The end product, she's got to lose that a little bit, so she waits until I make the decision. That's better. Now see, that was quite a tight stride and probably not a perfect stride for jumping a big fence, but at least she waited and did exactly what I want. Very often people say mine can't do canter poles, but what people try to do is rush the canter pole. It's there for a reason. If I don't get a stride, or even I trot or whatever, she will always take off in the right place. The cross pole's a brilliant fence. Yeah, right at the top. Because it keeps them in the middle of the fence. It's a fence I use an awful lot because you can relax a little bit and not try and keep them in the middle. The poles do the work. A little bit more ground line. And what I'm going to do now is just ease the ground line out a little bit so it draws her off the fence a little bit. And although they're not very big fences, you know, most horses, if they can jump big fences better. But they've got to jump a full set of fences under control. See, quite nice. A little bit carrying on to the left over the fence. So one after the fence. Just on the floor. Just on the floor on the landing side. This side, Claire. On the left, where she's landing. So what I'll do now, it's a little bit tight off that corner, so she is carrying on to the left. So I'll put a little pole a little bit further out, just to give us something to look at so I don't have to do the work. And that should keep us straight. Good. Also, when you're doing these exercises, you can't expect to get the best jumps all the time because it's quite small and it's more about producing her to canter to the fence right. I see that was a better jump, simply because as I held, she sat herself up like that, so I was able to then give to her, and it was a real good jump. That's what I'm looking for, really.